Good afternoon. I'm Dana.
I'm Dallas.
And we are Double D's Dishing the Dirt. Alrighty, so what is our topic today?
We are dishing on boundaries and social pressures.
Ooh, I love me a good boundaries conversation. Almost always I'm giving advice on boundaries, I swear it. But as we'll get into...
She doesn't take her own advice.
I just don't. You know, sometimes people are just easier to give advice to because you're going through it with your own personal experience, and then you take a look at it and you're like, damn, I could really follow my own advice, even though I just don't.
A lot of Dana's is time and communication boundaries that she has to work on. On that note, do you know how many types of boundaries there are?
I'm going to go with many. I'm going to go with, even specifically in healthy relationships, there's probably so many.
There's about 9 broad topics of boundaries.
Okay, less than I thought, but you know what? We're still up there.
I feel like they're really broad, and a lot of the categories have subcategories.
Okay, great. List them out for me. I need to hear some of these boundaries.
And we can go more in depth if you want to about some of them.
My God, yeah.
So the types are physical, emotional, communication, sexual, time, intellectual, mental, financial, and spiritual.
Okay, so I'm thinking physical, like space.
Yeah, physical space that belongs to you. Even one of the examples I saw was if you need a rest when doing something physical, like a bike ride or working out with somebody, being able to express your limitations in that field.
Love it.
Obviously, handshakes and hugs and all that, interactions of greeting can fall into physical.
For sure. Okay, what's the next one?
Emotional.
Emotional. I love an emotional boundary. Oh my God. Give me all of that. It's emotional, intimacy?
Not just intimacy, not wanting to talk about a certain subject, encouraging others to take responsibility for their reactions. That's a boundary for yourself that you're not going to freak out if somebody else freaks out about news because you can't control their emotions.
So respecting feelings. We love a respect of feelings.
I feel like communication falls under emotional as well. Saying you don't want to talk about something.
For sure. And then, obviously, we know sexual boundaries.
Yes.
Consent, ladies. We love consent. And guys. Girls, guys. All of them.
Everybody.
Girls, guys, gays. Love it. We love consent. It is such an important factor that I think more people need to talk about, especially at a young age. Can we just say we can always talk about consent? We don't have to wait until somebody's 16, 17, 18. We can talk about it.
And it's important too, because kids, they don't know what to look out for.
And it doesn't have to be even titled consent. We don't have to title
or
it. Or
sexual. Just teaching them that they have physical boundaries, that people can't touch them if they don't want to be touched. In school, in parties, just in general, little kids should be able to know that they're in control of their body.
Exactly. I love it. I love early communication, people. Early communication is so great.
We talk a lot about communication.
I know, but it is just so important. It's not even that somebody can go out and study it and everything. I mean, I'm talking about personal experience here, ladies, but it's important.
It is. Another one that I wanted to touch on was financial/material. That is borrowing items, saying that you don't feel comfortable giving somebody something, or setting limits onto how long they have to give it back.
Again,
so
important.
Don't get used, people.
Don't get used or abused. We don't like that here.
If you own something and you want it back, don't be afraid to speak up about it.
It's just setting clear expectations. That. It's important to have a limit. We say that when we're talking, if you are in therapy, which I fully promote it, your therapist would even say the same thing.
Right.
It's just setting those expectations, defining those lines, even though they're clearly invisible.
Right. And it can be uncomfortable, but it's something that has to be done to protect your own peace of mind, so to speak.
Yeah. It also falls under like time boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is clear and concise what that's about. Like respecting people's agendas, schedules, things like that. Like, of course we should respect it, but not everybody does. And it's sometimes hard to understand that that's the case. And I think we'll get into healthy boundaries specifically after we're done completing this list, but like things to look out for. That's kind of what we're touching base on here.
Oh, yeah. Obviously spiritual boundaries are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A lot of it comes back to your belief systems. Boundaries and beliefs are closely tied.
Yeah. And I mean, once again, it's hard. It can be hard to listen to somebody who maybe doesn't have the same belief system as you are. The whole point of this is to respect it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it, but it's important to respect the other person. I'm not gonna slap you in the face. I promise I won't. If you tell me something I don't necessarily agree with, but it could also lead to such an intellectual conversation.
Right. That is a note that I had somewhere further down when we're talking about the parts of a boundary and how to create a successful boundary.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is minding that other people have boundaries as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes your boundaries and their boundaries are going to cross, and that's something that you just have to keep in mind, that as much as you don't want to talk about something, somebody else may need to. Yeah,
they just need to get it out. Sometimes it's always important, but
yeah,
sometimes it's just on your mind. Let's talk about it. Let's chit chat. Let's yap. We love a yap session. Okay, but what is a healthy boundary? Like, what would you say is a healthy boundary?
It is something that protects your peace of mind. It doesn't have to be physical. It's to separate your wants and your needs. Anything that makes you happy from those of others. Mm-hmm. It's to separate yourself, like we talked about yesterday, like self-check-in. Boundaries can help you do that.
Yeah, completely agree. Oh my gosh, I found this quote. I have to share it with you.
Go ahead.
It's honestly, I think I could, it's my new self motto.
Okay.
It is Madeline Daria Alizadeh. Okay, I could be pronouncing that and botching that so badly, but this person, I respect you.
Yeah.
It is, you can be a good person with a kind heart and still tell people to fuck off if necessary.
Perfect.
What a great quote. I think I need it on a t-shirt. I think I need it on a sticker. And I'm a keychains person at heart. So I think I need that on a keychain.
Yeah. Again, everything here comes back to communication.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to tell somebody that you don't want to talk about something or you don't want to experience whatever you're going through.
One of the scariest components of talking to people about boundaries is their reaction. And I think a lot of it comes down to you can be as prepared as possible for the reaction and it still ends up differently.
Yep.
That is so okay.
Yep.
That is so okay. Walking away from a conversation for a couple minutes is okay.
Yeah, to gather your thoughts on the matter, especially if it's an emotional conversation.
And the minute you start to talk about change, I feel like people kind of have an automatic resistance and pushback in some way. Change is inevitable.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
I guess I'm bringing in Marvel in here. Like, change is inevitable. And it's going to happen. And that's all part of the growth system.
Yeah.
And maturity. And you know what? I guess that comes back into it with like emotional maturity and things that we touched based on previously as well. And that's okay. Like, that's okay to be at a different level than somebody else.
Right. And that's important when it comes to boundaries because it's important to remember boundaries aren't for other people. You expect other people to follow them, but they're to protect you.
Yeah.
They're your boundaries.
Self-reflect and identify.
Right.
Like, we love that.
We can't control other people, unfortunately, despite how much we may want to.
And we're not set out to please other people.
No. You're here to please yourself.
Yeah. And be specific. I think one of the healthiest things to reflect on, especially when you're setting these healthy boundaries, is to be specific. If something, was said or was, I don't know, something happened and that clearly didn't sit right with you.
Right.
That is the biggest indicator. Okay, well, something happened and it didn't sit right with me and I need to set a boundary and say, hey, moving forward, you know what? It happened. It did it. We can't change the past, but moving forward, maybe let's work on this. Or let me set this line. Let's not do that again.
And another note on that is to be consistent.
We love consistency.
You can't change the rules in different situations. They have, because then you're going on and doubting yourself. They have to be set and they have to have consequences no matter who is crossing the boundary, if it's crossed.
When you set that line, the biggest thing, as we just talked about, is consistency.
Yeah.
Should it happen again, not to say there's going to be consequences, but also that person clearly crossed that line again. Let's make a note. Let's flag it. Yeah. Let's not pin it for next time. Let's address it right now.
Don't let people slide. You're like, oh, it just happened this once. It's okay. No, you set this boundary.
Mm-hmm. And we're not just talking about relationships here. We're talking about friendships.
Yep.
Which I get it is also a relationship, but we're talking about friendships. We're talking about work related. And that's something I need to work on.
Dana is not good at the work,
I'm not.
Relationships.
I think it's just
not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
It's great that people can talk to Dana. However, Dana needs to take care of Dana sometimes.
Sometimes I just, I can't solve the world's problems.
She wants to.
I want to.
Don't we all, though?
I want to, but so does the next person, and so does the next person. It's coming to realize that burnout is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my Lanta. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my sweet G's. Burnout is a thing, and it will come at you. Sometimes I take burnout as seasonal depression. It could be. I mean, it very well could be.
Yeah.
But burnout is so real. And when you're pulled in a million different directions, I'm trying to give you all of my time because it's important to be heard and to be seen and to find somebody that you can completely open up with. That is a beautiful thing, people. That is a beautiful, wonderful thing. But also realize that person that you're laying this foundation on and giving them, your feelings, emotions, and the fact that you might have been wronged or you just need to release these emotions that you've got bottled up. That person that you're doing that to is also probably going through something.
Right.
Is also probably, putting their emotions, thoughts, and feelings on the back burner to be a good listener.
Yeah.
But they also have stuff going on. I am 9 times out of 10, I'm that person. I put things on the back burner because I want to hear you out and listen to you. But girl, I've got stuff going on.
Yeah.
I've got stuff going on. But my problem, which I'm probably not alone on this, is I can't say no.
Right.
I don't want to say no because you're obviously coming to me about an issue or a concern.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to tell you no. I don't want to cut you off.
No, because you want to help.
I want to help.
But on that note, everybody, no is a complete sentence. Sometimes.
Wait. I need you to go back and say that again.
No is a complete sentence.
You don't need a round of applause for that? Little sounds?
Our studio audience, everybody is clapping in the distance.
Seriously.
You don't have to explain yourself. If somebody asks if you have time, you can just say no. You can say not right now, but no is also an acceptable answer. So
I agree with that.
I do. Force yourself.
And you know what? I gotta learn. I'm not a perfect person. I am a very imperfect person. But I do have to learn a little bit here, and that's just about growth and understanding that I too can enforce those boundaries.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing to
And it's not a bad thing. It's also not a bad thing to listen to people when you've got the time.
Hearing their stories may help.
Yeah.
Help your situation, depending on what you're going through. So, because that's what we want to preach, that you're not alone in anything. So,
yeah. I will say, though, it's so funny. I mean, at the start of this, we talked about how I give advice, like people give advice and don't follow it. I cannot tell you how many times in the past, maybe month, that I have told people, hey, you have boundaries. You set that line, girl. You just need to have them hear you. You know?
Yeah. They just, yeah.
And then I go back to the mirror and I'm like, dang, that was really good advice.
Yeah. Damn. Wish I would have said that sooner myself. Okay.
I wish I would have come up with that, that line.
Damn, somebody write this down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, get your notes up. My notes app up, which I did. And you know what? Just had book club last night. Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Okay. Shout out to Dana's book club.
Hey, it's
you're
helpful.
Listening. You promised.
It's helpful. It's great. But yeah, at the same time, that's not the only boundary I need to work on.
No.
And again, categorically, there's so many boundaries. The other one I would say that I need to work on the most is work-life balance boundaries, for sure. And again, for a lot of people that do both remote work and office work, that flexibility can be absolutely amazing.
It can be brutal.
But it can also be brutal.
Yeah.
I will say every time I'm remote, I have this horrible anxiety that something is going on.
Yeah.
And I can't fix it from home. I'm like, okay, everything's fine. Everything's great. I get 13 emails back to back and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening?
And it's always somebody needing something physical and you're like,
can't help you.
I'm actually at home in my pajamas.
I'm actually cuddling my dog right now. Not
find somebody
available.
else.
But then it also comes into the weekend. And I will say in my job specifically, I have to be on call for a lot of different reasons. That's just the status of what I signed up for when I joined, when I was hired.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine. But it's the panic of getting called in, essentially. And let's say I'm 3 hours away.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that panic is real. And it deters me, honestly, from not wanting to do things and not wanting to make plans on the weekend because lo and behold, I'm at an Easter event or something.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I get called in. I gotta go. Like, I gotta leave.
Holidays are especially hard. Dana does media for our job. So if something happens, she is expected to be here and reporting on it.
I guess contacts would have helped.
I feel like holidays, especially, are when things go down. It's when families are interacting together. It's when emotions are high. So,
yeah. And in our job field, like, we work with a lot of different agencies. And so it's important to be able to communicate pretty quickly when an incident occurs or something happens.
Yeah.
And I mean, it comes down to I started setting my boundaries when I started setting up like my email. Hey, I'm going to be away for this weekend. You will not be able to contact me. I'm going to be on a mountain, no service. Should you need something, call my cell. But only in case of emergencies.
They probably still called.
And they did.
Yep.
From the top of a mountain, I got a phone call from my boss saying, hey, can you update this? Immediately.
No.
I said, give me 30 minutes to get down a mountain and I got you. And sometimes that happens, but that was the only call I got that day.
Oh yeah.
Which is great. You know, we work on those. But that's just one of the things that I physically was able to do to help set my mind at ease. Because the biggest thing ever with, comfortability levels, especially when you're setting up boundaries, is how it's going to make you feel.
Yeah, your feelings are more important than anybody else's.
How is it going to, if I set this boundary, will I feel better Hopefully, yes. Hopefully we're saying yes to that. Hopefully you're looking in a mirror right now and you're saying, I am such a confident person. I can go and set this boundary because I don't want to give this person $5 anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to listen to my roommate do her voice calls or whatever with her boo thing at 10 o'clock at night.
That sounds personal, you guys.
You know what? Experience, baby. And it's okay. And it's okay to set that boundary and shut that out. Because, hey, especially when you're in a shared living space, it can be tight quarters. I get it. But again, like we mentioned earlier, boundaries are not just, an emotional relationship or, partner one-on-one. It's about friendship.
Everybody.
And it's about workplace. And it's about, could be corporate, could be educational.
Right. Everybody should be obeying your
Now, I can't speak for teachers in the room because I'm not a teacher. But do I have really close friends who are teachers that have to set boundaries? Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a thing.
And that's important.
And it's important.
Again, with the youth here. They need to learn boundaries.
We may be repetitive, but damn, are we speaking some truth facts out here?
Guys, it's consistency.
Ring that bell. Love that consistency.
Not ring that bell. Dana's indicating where we're from just then. The ring the bell phrase is such a Philly thing.
I'm letting it in. A little bit of a reveal. That's okay. I mean, hey, there's Eagles fans all over the world.
That's true. Sort of. Nobody likes Eagles fans.
But also, back to boundaries, when you're communicating them with a person, what's the best method to go for it? I'm thinking right time, right place.
Definitely. If you're starting a relationship, definitely at the beginning of the relationship, because
who wants to get all the way involved in a relationship and you've got a deal breaker, baby? You've got a deal breaker later on and you just didn't communicate that. That's not fair to anybody. I was going to say, involved. I feel like that's a little bit of a, slap in the face.
And sometimes things will come up with situations you didn't know you had certain boundaries for, especially with friendship. And then at that time, it's okay to express them spontaneously. But I think that the right place, right time should be at the start of anything.
It also should just be meaningful. Like, this is about
from the heart.
From the heart. Oh, yes. This is not a conversation I would have when you're at, like, I don't know, a Kesha concert or something.
Right.
We want to be meaningful and real because if you show transparency and honesty, respect goes a long way. And it's important. I know we throw around that word a lot, but we don't want arguments to ensue because you don't want a good, wholesome conversation to turn into something memorable negatively.
Right.
But we want to look back and be positive and happy.
Yes. We want to have positive boundaries, everybody. We don't want them, they can't be like, I don't want to say not set in stone, but boundaries don't work for anybody if they're too rigid.
Boundaries are invisible, but they're still meaningful.
Right. But it has to be, you're both in the right mindset to have this conversation about boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely before anything happens. Like if something's happening consistently, consistently.
I feel the same way. It is a Thursday out here.
Like borrowing money and stuff, then that boundary may come up where you were forced to have that conversation.
I will say we had this come up with one of our friends, her son actually. Was always the person in a friend group who puts down his credit card at a friend gathering.
Oh my God, I will pay for anything. I just want your love.
But she mentioned this and I had to agree with her. I was like, I'm also that friend.
Yeah.
That when we're out and about, like, I'll put down my credit card. I don't mind.
I don't care if you don't pay me back. It's a problem.
It is a problem. Look at me. It is a problem.
We're having a moment, guys. I think Dana and I will both be paying for things tonight.
But seriously, guys, when you're the only friend putting your credit card down, some people in the friend group would call that a reliable friend.
Mm-hmm.
That poor person that's doing it every single time is probably going to feel a little, I know, isolated.
Yeah, it does feel bad sometimes.
It's not the greatest.
You're like, oh, is that why you guys are hanging out? Or
are you only bringing me around for the sake that I have a paying job and I can put down that money? Right. I'm telling you right now, we all have our woes about money. That could be a whole other conversation.
Let's dish money.
But it should not be the same person every time. So for him to set that boundary, it was sitting down and having a conversation with the friend group. Hey, we got to split up finances here. Like, let's talk about this.
It makes sense.
And it makes sense. And that's just an everyday situation. Like, things just come up.
Yeah.
We can just, be friends, and that always just happened, and no one thinks twice about it because it's just consistently happening. But that person's probably going to keep feeling alienated.
Yeah, and then they don't communicate it. It's not like anybody can know how you're feeling.
Yeah, so check-ins are important.
Yeah, and boundaries don't look the same for everybody.
No. I actually, speaking of, I heard this story on my way into work. I think I told you a little bit about it. Crazy story.
This stories, guys.
This woman was, I don't know, 5 or 6 months pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Bless your soul already. And she and her husband were not necessarily not talking to each other, but the dynamic was different. He had just been, let go from his job. So he's doing stay-at-home work.
Yeah.
And she is, I don't want to say breadwinner. That term, she's just
financially stable at the moment.
That is the perfect explanation. Thank you. She's just, and she's working overtime because she wants to make sure there's enough money for the baby when the baby comes, whatever. So she goes to work, comes home 9:00. This woman is exhausted.
Yes.
So it takes a 2-3 hour nap, wakes up, eats dinner with them, goes to bed, repeat.
Makes sense.
Sometimes we just get into this
routine.
I got you. And sometimes we just get into this routine and we forget the little things,
Yeah.
And for them, it was maybe a lack of spending time together and being able to have these meaningful conversations.
Right.
And he was doing all the housework. Well, one day she comes home, he's not there, thinks nothing of it, goes to sleep, wakes up, and he's still gone. Damn. Rude.
It's messed up.
Finds out he went over to a friend's house because he's feeling neglected, upset. She doesn't respect him, his boundaries, his time. And she's going, oh my God.
Right.
Let me do a self-check-in.
Yeah.
Have I asked him how he's doing lately? Have I checked in with them that? And she was like, no, he does deserve an apology.
Yeah. And him stepping away from the situation is fine, but guys, communication, please don't just disappear.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, healthy boundaries look different for everybody. In this circumstance, hey, he is feeling a little, like he's being utilized only for house chores and for dinner plans and everything. And she's just going about her day because she's trying to make that dough, man. There's a baby on the way. But again, I just want to put into circumstances that we're not just talking about, young, like kids in their, mid-20s, late 20s or teens or anything. Grown adults go through this every day. Yeah. Every day.
Everybody goes through it, guys. Setting boundaries. And sometimes you need to take that time to evaluate. But if you're in a relationship, then you have to be able to communicate that you're taking these steps away because he just left her and that's not fair to her.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier, taking a step back is completely fine. When let's say you're getting through the conversation and it gets a little bit like pushed back. Yeah. This person is like, I respect you and what you're saying, but I don't want to, move forward with that boundary because it'll affect me negatively in some way.
Right.
So that might happen.
Yes.
That might happen. And let's say you're just a little frustrated because we all got frustrated. taking a step away does not mean you're sacrificing that conversation.
Right.
Taking a step away is significantly more positive because you're getting that breath and you're checking back in with yourself.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be really prepared for a conversation and to, like I said, prep for the response, but it's also another thing to gather your thoughts again.
Oh, yeah.
And go back into it knowing that that is the line that they don't, that they also set. And just being like, okay, can we come to some agreement of some kind?
Yes, compromise.
Compromise!
All these C words, everybody.
We should do a checklist at the end of this.
What Dana didn't mention, there was communication failure on both aspects of that relationship. It was their anniversary, you had said earlier, right? And she wanted just a quiet night in, but he had planned a trip to Ireland, which he then continued to go on by himself.
And I mean, like, it's one thing to go on a self-trip, baby, but when you are literally like, all right, I'm owie. Yeah. Peace out, wife who's pregnant.
Fleeing the country.
Let me see you in a week when I'm back and saying good day.
Okay. I have a hot take on Reddit, or we have boundary phrases that we can rank. What do you want to do first?
Oh my God, I love options. I don't know. Should we do some Reddit?
Okay.
I love a good story, guys.
This story blew my mind. Okay.
I'm so ready. I have not heard this yet, so.
Okay. This is the post. I'm not saying that I feel like the eyes in the statement are the Reddit poster. I don't know if they have a name. Redditor.
I mean, we can come up with a name later, but for now,
OP is saying this, not me. Okay. It says, I feel like a need to set boundaries to someone, it means the person needs a correction every behavior. If I have to say no, don't every time they do something, they're useless to me because I don't need a dog or a baby, and I'm not their tutor. I want a relationship with a human being. If they act and say cautiously, I don't need to set boundaries, and we can find something in the middle slowly and carefully. But why don't other people try to be cautious? So this person thinks that boundaries are stupid and that they're not needed. And if they're needed, then you shouldn't be in a relationship with this person.
Okay. Okay.
So, how do you feel about that?
Hey, everybody has the right to their own opinion. I will say, that person and I would not be in a very co-compatible relationship. But hey, again, everybody has the right to their own opinion. Yeah. She feels that way. There is always somebody out there that will
I don't think
feel similarly. Boundaries, I guess, boundaries are so helpful.
Yeah.
In understanding a person.
It's about empowerment.
Exactly. And maybe this person, through Reddit, OP, just thinks that maybe for her boundaries mean something else, you know?
I feel like they have a very negative connotation and they shouldn't.
Yeah. And maybe that's her own life experience. Maybe she grew up being told like, hey, boundaries are bad. Like, leave them alone. Don't go near them. Like, that could be. Mm-hmm. We all come from different life experiences. We all are raised differently.
Yeah.
That could just solely be from that aspect of her life.
It's true.
And hey, I mean, I don't know.
I feel like it's just gross to call somebody a baby because they set boundaries.
And that's what I mean. The name calling?
Yeah.
What?
Dana and I's boundaries. We do not appreciate that.
I'm not a baby because I have boundaries, and I'm not a baby because I have emotions, and I'm not a baby because I cry. That is solely just a reaction to something that I'm either being held witness to or being told or...
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be, like, bad. Like,
no.
I can cry happy. But that doesn't mean you should go around name calling. That's going to be disrespectful in the long run. And honestly, name calling, I cannot. Why can't we just? Why can't we all just be, happy for one another and respectful? That is the biggest thing
that is what the world is wondering right now.
That is a very true statement.
What else you got on your notes? Got anything?
More so just like moving forward, boundaries are, it's like an umbrella term, honestly. Everything falls into that term.
Definitely a foundation.
Yeah. And it's something to build on.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of them.
And they change. Like, I say keep them consistent, but they change with experiences.
Yeah. And just make sure you're, again, we love this key word, communicating.
Yes, communication.
Because it's true. It's really so true. The moment you have a conversation with somebody and you're laying that foundation, it's like a release, honestly. Mm-hmm. You get to be you without feeling like there's limitations.
Yeah, you can be comfortable.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's also okay if something doesn't go right the first time.
Yeah. It's definitely a learning experience.
Yeah. And also just don't be afraid to do it. Every time we do an episode, I'm shouting at the world, confidence, 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 confidence. You don't have to have confidence to get into a boundary conversation.
No.
You just have to have faith in yourself, respect for yourself, and be your own best self-advocate, I think.
I'm going to do some of these phrases.
Yes. Hit me with it.
Okay. These ones are for when you disagree. I'm not prepared to change my mind on this. It's a good one.
That is a good one.
I'm confident in my decisions.
Love that one.
I feel like that's important because people are going to have opinions, but if that's what you feel is right,
they're going to see it. Yeah, they're going to see it when you come through with that.
When you need a break, like we talked about, I'm feeling overwhelmed and it's hard for me to focus on your feedback.
Okay, that could be a step away moment. You know, like let me step away for a minute or two.
I appreciate what you're saying, but I need to take some time to
go and collect my thoughts. Yeah, reflect. Great, awesome.
When you want to say no, I don't have time for this, or that's not up for discussion.
I'd be careful with the I don't have time for this one.
Yeah.
Only for the sake of you don't want things to be swept underneath the rug.
Yeah. Unless you're talking about your time boundaries.
Unless you're talking about your time boundaries. I'm sorry. I take that back in that respect. Yeah. I do agree with that.
And work. If work's going into your after work schedule, I don't have time for this.
I am at an Easter brunch.
I'm trying to play D&D. When you need to take control, I'm putting my needs first. One that's like Dana said, the fuck off. It's, I don't have to explain myself to you. These sound really aggressive, but they don't have to come across as such. This one's good. My feelings are equally important as yours.
I love that one.
I feel like that's something a lot of people struggle with because you feel that they're going through something and that what you're going through isn't equal.
Yeah.
But it may be to you. They may not see it that way, but when you're not quite sure what to say, what an odd thing to say. That's my favorite statement just because of the audio.
I love it when people go, what an odd thing to say. Interesting you would phrase it that way.
Always do you think that's appropriate? It's a good one. Like,
ooh, yeah.
Depending on the situation, like why are we discussing this topic?
And that you could also use that if they're trying to dismiss the conversation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're trying to have one and this person is so dismissive of the fact that you're actually trying to have a meaningful conversation. Pull them back in. Reel them back in. Use that fishing hook. Say, absolutely, we need to have this conversation.
I'm questioning her use of fishing hook, but
netting? Was that better?
Reel?
Oh. Guys, I'm not a fisherman. I am not a fisherman. Do not quote me on that one.
I don't think they will. So, what's your takeaway?
I would say, let's go down the list of C words. Communication, confidence, compromise, all things related to boundaries.
Yep.
Boundaries are not, age-bound, race-bound, ethnic bound. It is solely for everybody. Isn't that the most beautiful thing?
And everybody's looks different.
Yes. And boundaries are free, just like patience is. And honestly, if you're feeling a little hesitant to set a boundary. Look at the big picture.
I think that's something that needs to be evaluated.
Take a step back and think, if I set this boundary, is it really going to ruin this relationship?
Right.
If I set this boundary, is it really going to deter people from wanting to hang out with me or wanting to be my friend? Honey, let me tell you, if that's the case, then you're not being you're not being supported in the right way.
Yeah.
That is,
to be able to trust these people you're setting boundaries.
Boundaries are beneficial. They're not to deter somebody.
No.
And you are your best self-advocate.
Yep. Communication with yourself and with the outside world is vital to everyday life.
Yeah.
Because we won't get anywhere without boundaries.
Exactly. And it also comes with, emotional intelligence, maturity, all of that good stuff. All of that, throw that in a big pot and have some of that, because it's going to be good, and you're going to be good, and it'll be okay.
Everything will work out. It may not feel like it will, but we're all navigating this
change is inevitable.
Unknowingly. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And I think that's the scary part. But we can help manage it a little bit by setting boundaries and communicating what our needs and wants are from everyday relationship.
Couldn't agree with you more. All right. I think that is the end of our boundaries episode.
Yeah, we look forward to talking to you guys more. We got some good topics lined up.
I'm so excited. And hopefully maybe some special guests in the future.
Yes, definitely guests. All of our friends. We're going to have...
Hey, I got to tell you, I was literally at a hair salon the other day, and I'm just talking up this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And this woman looks over and says, I'm going to follow you. And we love that. So if you're interested and you want to keep up to date with our podcast episodes, feel free to follow our Instagram.
Yes.
And our YouTube.
Yes, our YouTubes should be up and running. Hopefully. I have to try to post on there, but
fingers crossed. But it'll be there eventually.
All right.
Thank you.
That's all for this week's Double D's Dish in the Dirt.
All right.